All right, gents. First of all, tell me what this is about. To understand what we're doing.
You could go.
So, Levi, as a well-respected leader in the Montreal Jewish community, we chose you in order to, tell us and guide us through what it takes in order to be so successful in guidance and to be really a Jewish role model, for our community.
Yeah.
Okay.
Our Tanakh teacher has specified how, crucial it is for us to connect with a Jewish leader,
Yeah, and she kind of wants us to understand what characteristics you need to be a Jewish leader in our community, and I guess in any Jewish community around the world. So
that's very nice, and I'm honored.
Yeah.
Honored and privileged that you select me. I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
Did you have a number of questions you have to go through, or just?
It's around 10 questions.
Okay, go for it.
All right, so I could. So the first one is, what initiatives have you undertaken to address poverty and social justice issues affecting the Jewish community?
Good question. So uniquely, I am involved a little bit in the family store. You heard of the family store?
Mm-hmm.
So the family store, it's not my project. It's a sister project of the MTC. It's a division of the MTC run by Rabbi Markowitz, as you know.
Mm-hmm.
And for the last 7 or 8 years, we've been bringing teens to volunteer at the family store. And the family store is unique in terms of solving issues of poverty in the community. Or I shouldn't even say poverty, but financially struggling people, in the sense that we call it charity with dignity. There's a big class of people who would not take a free handout, as they shouldn't, because they're working for a living. Sometimes a family with both parents are working, and they're not going to take a free handout, they're not going to take a free lunch. But if they got food at a discount and they can save themselves $300-400 a week, that goes a long way for a family like that. And that's what the family store does. So it's very creative, it's very innovative in being able to bring financial relief to all these families. I don't know what the numbers are now, but it's well over high hundreds, to be over 1,000 people who are saving money on this every week.
For me, I've volunteered at the family store, and I've seen the tremendous amount of help it truly provides for the community. Like, you go in, and IGA now, especially with like inflation, you see how expensive it is. You go into the family store, you can see how the rabbis, including you, Levi, and Getzi, you can see how much effort they put into really helping our community, and it's really beautiful.
Thank you. And it all comes from volunteers, from you guys. You're talking about characteristics for leadership. The first one has got to show up.
Yeah.
So, if there's a volunteer opportunity, or not just a volunteer opportunity, you see a need and you see where you can be useful. First step is show up. Right? And that's what you guys do.
Thank you.
For sure. Here I have
the next question
here. So, how do you support and encourage Jewish continuity and the growth of the Jewish community in Montreal?
That's a very good question. Okay, so here's how I think about that question.
Mm.
Yeah. One way to think about this, and I'm sure many people do think about this way, is sort of like tactically. What are the strategies and the tactics you use to gain Jewish continuity? And I think the better way to approach it is to come from a more fundamental question, which is, why should we have Jewish continuity at all?
Right.
Why should we have Jewish continuity at all? And if we can't articulate the answer to that question, we're doomed. It doesn't matter what tactics or strategies you use. It's not going to matter, right? So that would be what I do at my focus, to articulate the answer to that question. Why should Jewish continuity matter? Which really a broader question is, why should Judaism matter to you at all? And if it matters to me and it matters to the young people, then there's continuity automatically.
Right.
And the only way to get to the point where we feel that it matters is if we engage with authentic, true Torah Judaism. So when we study Torah and we understand its truth as it is unadulterated for the last 3,000 years, and we present it to the next generation as a truth and a realism that we've lived and died for the last 3,000 years, then it becomes important and real, because it is real.
Right.
because it is real. And that to me is more important than like the strategies and the tactics of like, which is all very important, like camps and engagements and youth programs, all those kinds of things are very important, but they're all the strategies around the much more deeper core issue, which is this real for the kids? Is it real for me? And if it's real for me, because I have a real living relationship with a real living God and a real living Torah, then I can share that with the next generation. But I don't know if I don't have that real living Torah and living God, then what am I selling? I'm just selling tactics. So that's how I approach that question.
Thank you.
Very interesting.
Yeah. So our next question has to do with Israel. So how does our community work to support Israel and maintain a strong connection to the Jewish homeland?
It's a very good question. And I'm gonna lead with the answer I just gave earlier.
Right.
Which is, here's what I find. When you come from the perspective of you should support Israel because it's going to make you safe. Well, I feel pretty safe in Canada.
Mhm.
In fact, there are probably more Jews being attacked in Israel for being Jewish than there are Jews in Canada being attacked for being Jewish.
Right.
It's the unfortunate reality. If you approach it from like, well, Israel is the most moral country in all of the Middle East, yada, yada, then you start getting yourself into lockhorns with other people who say, well, there's injustice to Palestinians and blah, blah, blah. I'm sure you've heard all of this. You don't need me to make these arguments for you. I'm sure you've heard them all, right? So at the core, it comes down to, if I'm a proud Jew and if Judaism is real to me, then by extension, Israel is me, because that's me. It's part of Judaism. To put it, if you want to go historically, the Jews became the Jews in the desert when they got the Torah at Sinai, and then they went to Israel. Not the reverse. They didn't go to Israel, establish a homeland, and then get the Torah. It was the other way. They first got the Torah in Israel. Now that we know our identity, now we're going to have a national homeland in which we're going to live out that identity.
Right.
So if the identity starts from the nationalism, then I'm Canadian. My national identity is Canadian.
Right.
But if my identity starts with I am a Jew, then of course Israel is my place, because Israel is the extension of Jewish identity. So we really want to get our kids to be engaged and support Israel. They have to be proud Jews and care for being Jewish and have a living relationship, again, a living relationship with living Torah. Then by definition, they're going to care for Israel, because that's the homeland for that living relationship with God, a living relationship with Torah.
Right.
Sure.
I like that answer.
Yeah.
All right, Hanan, you could address that.
Okay. What would you say, like, what steps are being taken to address anti-Semitism and promote a safe and inclusive community for all the members?
It's a very good question. I'm going to take a little bit of a different approach. Might be a little radically different approach. I wish that when swastika was found, spray painted on a shul in Montreal, the headlines right now read, anti-Semitism on the rise, swastika found on X synagogue. That's what the headlines read. What I would love for the headline to read, and I think that would reflect the deeper truth, is Montreal is a wonderful place to live. One idiot spray painted a swastika. Everybody else thinks he's an idiot. Because that's the truth. When you phrase it as anti-Semitism is on the rise because literally one idiot decided to spray paint and wouldn't even show his face anywhere because he's too much of a coward, then the other anti-Semite who's sitting in his mom's basement, who till now thought anti-Semitism was unpopular, now is like, hey, anti-Semitism is popular, let me come out.
Right.
So, and to a large degree, I'm not blaming the media for reporting here, but but to a large degree, I do put some blame at the media for creating a narrative that actually encourages copycats. And it kind of sends the message that, hey, anti-Semitism is popular.
Right.
When the truth is, it's so not. Canada is a wonderful place to live. Montreal is a wonderful place to live. So how do we deal with anti-Semitism? Just be more loving. Just be a good person and stop taking everybody else so seriously, right? And I understand the lessons of history. When a dictator gets up and starts giving speeches about Jews are terrible, when Justin Trudeau does that, I'm going to get worried and we'll start packing our bags. But until Justin Trudeau or whoever the next prime minister is starts giving speeches about Jew hatred, I'm not going to get nervous because some idiot decided to spray paint a swastika somewhere. He's a loser and an idiot and should be treated that way. Because the rest of the country are nice, good people. And go talk to them. the media would want to have us like split up, like, oh, you're Jewish, you're not, are you anti-Semitism, are you pro, are you against? Just go talk to people. Hey, I'm Jewish. What's up? What are you? And just have a nice conversation.
Yeah.
And 98% of anti-Semitism will disappear with that.
For sure. And I think we saw it, with Kanye West, and we had recently an anti-Semitic day where people wanted to express their hatred of Jews, like, I think if we change the way the narrative and the way the media pushes it, then maybe we would all realize how little of a percentage of the population are, and
yeah. At the Chabad conference, it was right after Chabad Kinnos, the Chabad conference in New York. It was right after this Kanye West story broke. So one of those not Business Insider, but one of those insider channels interviewed a couple of the rabbis. Like, so what did you think about Kanye West? So there's a lot of funny answers. Some of them more serious, some of them funny. And one guy says, "It's so good. It's such the right answer." He says, "Oh, Kanye West? Yeah, just tell him to come over. I'll give him some gefilte fish and a shot. We'll be fine."
Yeah, I saw that.
Because that's true.
Yeah.
We're getting all worked up because Kanye West said a few comments. Like, okay, so he said a few comments. Like, and then what? Nothing.
Right.
For sure. All right. Well, the next question. So we're on Zoom right now, right? And technology is very important. So are you able to discuss the role of technology and social media in promoting the values and mission of the Jewish community in Montreal?
Good question. So I see technology, and especially social media specifically, as a massive megaphone.
Right.
It's a huge megaphone. It's not necessarily good, and it isn't bad. It just overly exposes whatever exists. So everybody's been granted a megaphone and said, here, scream whatever you want on top of your lungs, and everybody's going to hear you. Now you decide what you want to scream. If you want to sell product, then that's what you'll scream. You want to sell your body, then that's what you'll scream. You want to make everybody believe that you have the nicest vacation, fine, then that's what you'll scream. So whatever it is you want to scream, that's what you're going to scream into your megaphone.
Right.
So if you have a megaphone and you believe that the world is a good place, and you believe that people are good, and you believe that goodness should and could be spread, then use your megaphone to do that. Because it's the greatest one anybody's ever had. I'm telling you, you can be more heard in a matter of 2 days than the King of England could have 300 years ago in his entire lifetime.
Right.
Because we have a megaphone like nobody else.
It's crazy.
And then the question is, what do you want to share? What do you want to promote?
Right. Right. So
we're on the final question now. Yeah.
Sure.
This is the final one. Okay. So what advice can you give to the next generation of Jewish leaders in Montreal?
What advice can I give to the Jewish leaders? There's a good story. They say it about the Chafetz Chaim.
Of course.
They say the story about. I haven't seen this story written anywhere, so I don't know if it indeed happened with him or someone else, but the point is true. He was asked how he had such a great influence on the entire Jewish people. So he said, well, when I was growing up, I wanted to change the entire world. I realized I couldn't, so I decided I want to change my country. I realized I couldn't do that either, so I decided I'm going to change my city. Couldn't do that either. I decided I'm going to change my family. I still couldn't do that either, until I was left with, you know what? I'll just change myself. And then he changed himself, and his family followed, and his city followed, his country followed, and the world followed. So the message to the next generation of leaders, or to any leader really, is to look inside yourself and ask yourself, what are the best things about you? Develop them and work at them, not because you want to change anybody else, but because you want to live the best you. And if you're living the best you, you will be a leader. It just what happens, because you're living authentic to you. You're digging deep, and you're finding that true godliness that everybody has. Everybody has a unique spark of God in them, and the more they nurture that, the more leader they are. Right? I use the expression spark. Right? Everybody has a godly spark, and there's an old Hasidic teaching that the nature of light is that light attracts. When you put a light in a dark place, people huddle around. So you don't have to go and find them, but if you're a light, it attracts. So if you dig deep and you find that godly spark, you find that light, and you start to turn it up, not because you're trying to reach anybody else, but because you're just trying to live your own light stronger. By definition, it's going to attract, and it'll breed leadership.
For sure. And I want to elaborate on that, because you see that there's so many rabbis in the world, and I really see it within the Chabad community, that when a rabbi becomes such a big Torah scholar and he invests so much time and so much effort into himself, there's so many people that feel the need to follow him because they know that that's the best version of themselves.
That's right.
They feel like they want to achieve. And, you know, I think Chabad and I think the Jewish community is a good example of how, you know, a role model could grow and other people could follow.
That's right. Absolutely.
I like that.
Very well said.
Hey, Levi, thank you.
Yeah,
My absolute pleasure.
Really
thank you, John.
appreciate it, you know?
So I have the recording. I'll send it to you, and if you guys are okay with it,
Yeah.
I'll post it on our YouTube channel. If you guys are good with that.
And we really appreciate your time.
Yeah, we really
Absolutely.
appreciate it.
Anytime.
I feel like we learned a lot about just leadership in general that we
Thank you.
will help us in the future.
Thank you. And I you do well on your assignment. That's what it is. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, good
Within
luck.
the Montreal Jewish community, within the Montreal Jewish community, there aren't as many leaders with the same volume and the same effect that you have. So really appreciate
It's very kind of you. Thank you.
spending your time with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you
You're
so
very
much.
welcome. You're very
Have a
welcome.
good
Good luck.
night.
Have a good evening.
night.
And I'll see you at show.
Yeah, I'll see you there.
Thank you.
Good night.